Hi everyone, magandang hapon. My name is Adri, and today I'm going to talk to you about the trans Pinay expression, gender affirmation through fashion and style. So you might be wondering, ano ba ito, 'di ba? Parang don't we express ourselves every day? Alam ko na naman kung ano ko. What is this discussion about? Well, I'd like to have a bit of a chat with you about, of course, fashion and style that is more focused within our community, but also more in depth, concentrating on self determination and expression. Marami kasi sa atin ang nagiging clouded with, what's in, what's out, what's fashionable, what's not fashionable, what could be stylish. And sometimes, especially with the lives of trans people in general, unfortunately, we tend to go the other way and get lost in a way and forget about our own identities, like who we really are. And although this talk will revolve around expressing oneself, some parts ng ating discussion today ay pwede rin naman sa ibang expressions. And just like what I always say when I do my advocacy work, most of the things our community actually fight for can be applied to other communities. And so, with this discussion, you'll realize that a lot of these things can be applied even to cisgender, heterosexual, binary communities. So, let's start. Let me just get on with my presentation. Just give me a moment. Here we are. Next slide, please. Right. Okay. So we have self determination, expression, and transitioning. And then we've also got self expression, transition. Um, Asking ourselves, what is self expression really? And transitioning. Do I need to transition or do we really need to transition? What's expected? And why do some people transition and why some do not? So, with this, I will start with saying that just like non trans or cisgender women, there are many types of trans women depending on various factors such as femininity, self expression, culture, kind or ways of upbringing, etc. So maraming factors why, just like the cisgender women, but marami tayo, 'di ba? Like, it we're all our individual selves. We all vary. And although fashion and style are also quite important, fun and exciting, I'd like to firstly talk about three essential things that, in my opinion, should come first or should be thought of first. These are self determination, expression, and transitioning. Let's start with self determination. What is this? This is, by definition, the state or process by which a person takes ownership and control of his, her, their life. So, from the word itself, determination, our determination of our own selves, not determined by other people, not by your parents or your teacher, friends, whatever, not also influenced by these people, but rather just ourselves. Like when we stop and think about it, um, how do we define ourselves? Tayo. And tayo muna, di ba? Ano ang pagkakakilala natin sa ating mga sarili? And on this note, wala namang rush with determining yourself really. You don't have to rush it or think about it or stress about it. If we're not really entirely sure kung sino tayo at kung ano ang pagkakakilanlan natin sa sarili natin, it's okay. We can take our time and just discover ourselves. Next one is expression. This one naman comes by the time we know or we're quite sure of ourselves. When we know who we are, then we can truly express ourselves through feelings, ideas, thoughts, and of course, fashion and style. There are different virus expressions, and there are really no rules or guidelines on this. We are our own boss. The last one, in transition. And this is really interesting, especially our listeners or viewers from the Philippines. Because when we hear about transition, especially in the Philippines, di ba, we usually assume that this is all physical. Especially with transpenize, we always associate transition with hormones or surgeries. But usually we forget what is really the most important, which is the mental or the psychological transition. This is the base and the core of a trans person's transitioning. We'll discuss this more later on. Now, some people would assume that all trans people will transition, but the thing is, many don't. There are many reasons behind this. It could be personal reasons, health, or medical, but not transitioning does not change anything about their gender identity. They are still who they truly are. Next slide, please. Transitioning. How do we transition? Transitioning has mainly two types, but I have included a third one that I found in some resources that I think it's quite helpful. And this is, as I've mentioned, mental transitioning. And it usually starts with um, deeper self discovery. The two main types are medical transitioning and social transitioning. With mental transitioning, it's, as I've said, starts with your self discovery. It's something that ignites, or some people would say it a calling or just self realization. Medical or physical transitioning is, this is the one where we actually see her see a doctor, an endocrinologist. We take hormones, we go through physical changes, surgeries, cosmetic treatments, procedures, and even speech therapy. Speech therapy is when we practice our voices to have more on the feminine um, tone. Social transitioning. So this is changing of legal documents. Unfortunately, that is, I would say, non-existent still in the Philippines. Unfortunately, crossing fingers that it will eventually soon. So changing names. This is also when we explain to our family, friends, and workplace our cases, and just trying to orient them um, with our situation. Now, here are some important tips I can share that I have learned through STRAP. Um, so, proceed at your own pace. No rush. Each of us has her own journey to go through. Wag nating madaliin. I have heard a lot of stories where um, a girl realized na, okay, babae ako, 'di ba? And then asking friends, ano ba yung hormones na gamit mo, 'di ba? Like, and tapos bibili ka rin ng same hormones as you'll take them, and then forgetting or forgetting enjoying the whole process. So you just have to take your time and just breathe and just don't rush. Second is very important, which is seeking medical guidance for physical transitioning. Health comes first, and the first step of this is seeing an endocrinologist so that you can check the hormones you have and what are the safest medicines or route for your medical transitioning. Do not be afraid to seek help or seek pieces of advice from other trans penites. Although it is exciting, it could be a little scary as well to go through transitioning, especially because you have to think about the changes not only with yourself, but with your work, family, and with friends. And sometimes we get embarrassed to talk to other people about this experience. So don't be, gather your strength and ask your other sisters. Our next one is that be mindful of who you are, not only as your gender identity, but as an individual, as a human being. This is such an important point and not often talked about because um, I think the focus is just more so with the physical transitioning most times. And I was actually talking to a friend about this because other people experience this too, not just trans people. When they go through journeys where big changes happen, in transitioning, there is a possibility that we lose our truest selves because we are too focused on the physical side of things, the beauty or the trends or the fashion, and what's in and what's not. And we sometimes forget that there is that human being inside us, that whatever role we pursue, these roles could be being an employee, being a parent, or being a sibling, or whatever situation we're in. We never really lose that being, and we never really lose the characteristics of that being. Next slide, please. Feminization without surgery. So, this is quite interesting because um, this is mainly for those obviously who express themselves as feminine. And in this part of the part of the talk, we're also going to be talking about uh, feminization that are applicable to whoever really that express themselves as such. So makeup. We have to study the shape of the face, pay attention to your goals, your objectives. Like, what is my current uh, face shape, and what is what is there to achieve? What's my goal with this? Do you want to appear slimmer? Do you want to have slightly fuller cheeks, or to have a heart shaped face, or more of baby face, or fuller lips? Usong-uso ngayon with the fillers. All these can be achieved through makeup. Hair. For many trans women, I would say that one of the biggest issue could be the hairline. So, for like receding hairline or thinning hairline. So this can be remedied obviously with surgery, but there's also, excuse me, there's also a medication that's called minoxidil, and minoxidil comes in different shapes and kinds. We just have to know what we want, and we just have to do more of a research of what's suitable for us. Nails. Now with the nails, actually with me, I think of it as the shape of my fingers. I have quite slender. I'm not quite sure if you see. I have quite slender fingers, but I have bony knuckles like here. So for me, the way that I've studied myself, I've found out shapes that I think are more appropriate, given that shape of my fingers, and also the color. So I would say that the color should always uh, be subdued, feminine, and also depending where you're going, what's suitable, what's the purpose. So are you going on a first date? Are you going on a work function? So these things can, the smallest of the details can definitely um, make you look more feminine. Styling. So this is quite overall. So colors, clothing cuts, silhouettes, which we'll talk more about in terms of the silhouettes later on. So pick which tones, major color tones that suit you. So we have the warm tones, just the pinks, the oranges, the reds, and then we've got the cool tones, the greens, the blues. So what tone does suit you? You think? So and also the body shapes and ways to flatter your body shape, and trying to figure out the parts of you that you're least happy with, and the parts of you that you want to flatter. Next one is lifestyle. So this is actually part of mental transitioning. So this is talking. This is movements and mannerisms and walking as well, um, and overall changes in your life. All these things contribute to feminize yourself. Skin and body care. This is really quite important, and I think sikat na to ngayon, especially in the social media, because there are a lot of beauty influencers and all these things, which is very, very important. This is, for me, this is part of self love and self care. Again, you should identify what you need and what you want, study yourself. Um, and what's your skin type? What's your hair type? Uh, do you want to, I know in the Philippines uso yung pagkapaputi, 'di ba? So what parts of your body na tingin mo gusto mong i-whiten, or like these things can definitely contribute. And the next one is undergarments, choosing the right bra and underwear. We have also padded underwear. So we use like for the chest, we have the fillets. People call it sometimes fillets, like those silicone fillers. And then you've got the padded underwear if you have like a fuller bum or fuller hips. So these things can definitely help. All right. Our next one is how to style yourself. Next slide, please. So these are just like simple pointers on how to style yourself. So first of all, know your style. Um, so like for me, what's my style? Am I bohemian, edgy, androgynous, preppy? So there are many kinds. So pwede ring shabby chic, 'di ba? Country, pwede rin naman. So this is quite important because this will serve as your guide whenever you're shopping for clothes or makeup, or shopping for shoes or anything really. If you are aware of your style and what suits you, you'll have a more established fashion and style identity. And as I've said, styles can be from any form, like bohemian, preppy. It can also be super chill and casual. And then next one is study your body. So what I mentioned before with, like, for example, my nails and my hands, and you know, have a look at yourself in the mirror and just try to study your body. And believe me, a lot of the girls are scared to do this, but believe me, it's a part of self-discovery. Marami kayong matututunan if you actually, like, if you just take a time and study yourself in the mirror, um, and just like, okay, like this is the shape of this part of my body. Okay, this is how my skin look in different lighting and all these things. And what do I think parts of my body that I think I'd like to flaunt more? What parts are I'm quite least happy with? And dare to ask yourself as well why. If you saw like a flaw in your body, like why? sometimes we'll think, we'll think about it, and then ma-realize natin na parang okay naman pala. Parang lahat naman ng tao may ganito. Parang hindi naman siya extraordinary. I think it's okay. I think I'm okay with this. I'm happy. I'm okay with this. Um, so really, you can love yourself, but the reality is, in most cases, there will be things that we don't want to particularly flaunt, and as I said, that's okay. Dealing with insecurities, this is a tough one. Uh, as I've said, iba-iba tayo, and we have our own atake in terms of this um, uh, very tricky situation. But I always tell my friends that although it's good to be aware of these things and ideally accept them, try not to stress on these things and just focus on the things that um, focus on the things that can strengthen or empower you. And our next one is the 5 main body shapes. And we'll talk about how to dress for each one. Next slide, please. So, main body shapes and how to dress for one. These are actually uh, more. So, I'm showing you 5, but there are actually more. But we'll focus on these main ones. But the general rule is to find balance and to try to identify your goal with your outfit and your style. So obviously, when you have already identified, let's say, okay, my style is actually bohemian. So I love vibrant colors. I love prints. I love indigenous prints, and I love tribal inspired accessories and all these things. But what is the purpose of your outfit, right? So where are you going and what are you doing? So that's one. And then from here you can apply the concept of flaunting or not flaunting, and the things about you or parts of you that you're least happy with. We'll talk first on the triangle shape. So this shape is bottom heavy. So most of the time, this is the shape that you don't want to actually really flaunt your second bottom half. So uh, sa mga bigger girls, sometimes it's like the bigger hips and all that. So if you're normally, people would say that probably wear less um, um, fitting skirts, more wear like an A line or a flowy to not really make it bigger even more. And then the next one is the inverted triangle shape. So this one, as you can see in the image, medyo broad yung shoulders and it's quite boxy, the shoulders. So and this is quite common in the trans Pinay community. So I would suggest that um, probably start with it's in the Philippines, it's hot. So probably start with just wider straps if you want to have sleeveless, or probably like cap sleeves, or just like normal sleeves, and wider neckline, deeper neckline, to just uh, not accentuate this part even more. Next one, we have the rectangle shape. So this one is also known as the athletic. So you can see in the image that the girl has less of a shape, and it seems like her shoulders and her hips are kind of in the same measurements. So with this one, try to have deeper necklines as well, and try to cinch your waist more. So wear belts, high waisted pants, high waisted skirts. Um, uh, the wider straps would help as well. And then for the fourth one, hourglass shape. Oh goodness, ito yung pinakaswerte, di ba? Pinagpala, pinakaswerte because this is the most socially accepted, most socially liked, which is the hourglass shape, which is quite balanced. So the lady has really cinched waist, has a small waist as compared to her hips, and she has um, a relevantly full bust and full hips. So unfortunately, a lot of the garments flatter this. So yung mga girls dyan na ganyan, nako, you have less of a problem because this one, it's very versatile. Right. Okay, now we've got here the last one, which is a diamond shape, which is not bottom heavy, not top heavy, more like the mid section heavy. Um, Believe it or not, I was in this phase. So this is a part of my body that I'm quite least happy with. So I always wear high waisted pants, high waisted skirts. I do love wearing crop tops, but I always wear crop tops with those bottom garments, like always high waisted, because I always feel that my waist is getting cinched. Body shapers are your best friend as well. So we have Spanx, and I believe Triumph in the Philippines, the brand, have body shapes as well. The girls can verify that, but yes, so that's a diamond shape there. Next slide, please. Now, with this one, very tricky. I haven't been in the Philippines for the longest time, but I have consulted some of my sisters. So basically, I will make this quite short. Where to shop for clothes, underwear, bras, footwear, these things. The best bet for me are department stores and Tangge, really. Why? Because a lot of options. You're already in that area, a lot of options, a lot of brands, and you can try them on. Um, for discussion sake, I will say as well that Landmark in Makati is a really good one. Underwear, Elizabeth, the brand Elizabeth is good. Triumph as well, I would say it's good. Um, and don't be afraid, try the generic department store brands, because half of the time you can find good good well made pieces from there. Footwear, you've got Parisian from SM, you've got Payless, and this one is really good because this is tried and tested. For us trans women who have got on a bigger feet, I'm a size 9 to 10, so I would consider that big, especially in the Philippines. It's very, very, very worth it to go to Marikina, and especially if you have budget, and try to get made to order once. They're very good investment, and you will use them for many, many years. They're very, very robust and sturdy, and you will be and quite comfortable as well. And you'll really benefit from that. And also, I forgot the the location or the place that you can also venture out, but I think I would say it's a little harder is ukay-ukay or thrift stores. Yeah, marami sa Manila. Medyo mas mahirap lang, medyo challenging because it's uh it's like treasure chest, parang naghahanap ng treasure, but it's really, really worth it. Next slide, please. Now let's go to a very interesting and I would say controversial topic, which is talking, diba? So there are many ways to go about this. And before I actually say anything, let me just say that it's not mandatory. If depends on your comfort and your preference, you don't have to do it, right? So, dun sa mga gustong gawin yung talking, um, there are many ways to go about this. And I would actually say that although I'm not an expert, I have done my own research on this and talked to many of my sisters in STRAP to really provide helpful and information. So let's start and talk about the first one, which is choosing the right underwear for talking. So really, really, really important, especially when you're doing just the everyday talking. So ano ba yung dapat na shape for underwear? So usually find, di ba, it's shaped like this. So the one that hugs the private area, make sure that it's wide enough to cover the entire thing. Very important. Second important thing is that the material should be thick enough to hold everything in place. Diba? So two things with that. Everyday talking. Now, there's one that I call the squat, tuck, pull, and stand. Nako, 'di ba? Like you'll be thinking, ano ba yung inimbento niyang 'yan? 'Di ba? Pero this is really helpful, and this has been done for many years, a long, long time. So pretty much you squat, so you spread your legs and then you do a squat, and then you tuck, and then you pull up your undies, and then as you're tucking and then securing everything in place, you stand up, and then you pull the back part even further up, and then that's it. Now the second one is the gaff method. This is actually relatively new to me. I discovered this through my research with my strap sisters. So there is uh, an underwear that has the shape of the cisgender female genitalia, and apparently I have not tried this myself, but apparently it you there is not really much talking needed because it mimics the shape of that um, genitalia, right? I'll show photos of it in a moment. um, we've got next precise talking. Now, precise talking um, would happen if, let's say, you're in a bikini party, or just going swimming with family or friends. Um, what else? Or sometimes you just have, like a tight knit dress. You would need this, I would say. So there are different kinds of this. First is the leucoplast method. And I must thank one of the girls for teaching me this many years ago. So leucoplast, the medical tape that's pretty thick and skin tone color. So pick the widest you can, because you can always trim it down. Pick the widest you can, and then you have to shave. You have to shave, and then when you do it, just do it like Chris. So from sorry, I'm trying to imagine from tucking it. So from left to right, or right to left, doesn't really matter. So from left to right, you put the tape. So you tuck first, and you put the tape, pull up, secure. The other side, the same thing. Put the tape, pull up, secure, and then in the middle as well. Now the girls have many ways to do it, but this is the ones that I know that works. Uh, and obviously it depends, for the goal, or for you. The next ones are called T-strap or tuck kit method. May nabibili actually online na tucking kit. I am not quite sure if it's available in the Philippines, but I'm very sure that internationally you can have, there you can still access it, especially. if it's like, online purchasing and all these things. And I will show this to you as well later on. But pretty much it's very similar with the leukoplast method. It's just that it's more easy to use because the shape is already pre-cut, and it's wide enough and it's thicker and all these things. So pretty much it's a medical grade tape, but really made for tucking. Now we'll go quite medical on these next ones. Tucking via pelvic opening. So I'm no doctor. I think you can probably tell, but we have openings on the lower part of our pelvis. So you use that space to pretty much hide the I will call the two babies that you've got down there. So you hide it there, you tuck it there, and then the main baby just go on the middle. So this is actually, and I don't actually want to discuss this further, only because it's quite medical, and again, it varies, depending on your body. But basically, that's an option that you can do as well for a more precise tucking. The last one is the what's called the Japanese tucking. Is the and it's called medically, hiding it via the inguinal canals. So I will show as well. Next slide, please. So this is the gaff, everyone. So as you can tell on the center of the underwear, so may shape siya, no, ng pang cisgender um, female genitalia. So apparently you will just have to like lightly tuck it, and because it mimics that shape, hindi ka na mahihirapan. Like if you're wearing, let's say, usong-uso ngayon yung athleisure wear, yung pang gym and stuff, apparently hindi mo na kailangan, right? Next slide, please. This is the tuck kit method I was telling you about earlier. So as you can see, yung shape niya, it's really really wide, and it goes a little bit narrow and then wide again. Oh, sorry, it just goes narrow and then that's it. Um, ano pala yon, like parang peeling tape. So this is like kits that you can purchase. I actually went to a photo shoot recently, and and some of the girls tried this, and it's really really good. Next slide, please. This one, again, it's quite medical. This is the Japanese one, and you've got to uh, pretty much research on your own, because one body is different from another, so you have to just really try it out and just do more of a research so that you can do it safely on you. But pretty much there are ingenuinal canals, spaces in that area as well down below, that are used for hiding or tucking the privates. Next slide, please. Now, gender affirming fashion tips for trans Pinay. So it could be feminine, non-binary, gender neutral, trans feminine. So I will be repeating myself here because I think this is really, really, really important. Know your style. Yes, again. So this is really a good one, because this is your guide. This is your guide when you're shopping. This is your guide when you're looking for a new handbag, anything about fashion and style. This is your pretty much your identity. And then feel free to have inspirations, pegs or aspirations, diba? Like growing up, sino ba yung parang iniidolo natin, or parang role models natin while growing up? Mine is my own mother, and she's very I would say quite stylish and fashionable, and I've always loved spending time with her when it comes to fashion. So for me, it's her. But feel free to have inspirations, pegs, and aspirations. In most cases, we have role models or a role model that we somewhat look up to. So feel free to have these because it will also help you to kind of have the same vibe or invite the same have the same energy. Next one is what I call test, assess, and apply. So another trick I'd like to do is this one. So first, obviously, you test it out first, and then assess if you like it or not, and then you apply it. It's really helpful for very subjective things, like, for example, perfumes, makeup as well. With perfume, it's actually quite new to me. It's been only a few months since I really dove into that area. What I do is that I go to department stores and test it out on my skin because our skin reacts differently to different perfumes, and we have to find something that would um, that is has a very good performance, concentration, and that our skin will react really well. I'm quite acidic, as you know, as you'd say, and so I cannot really have citrusy um, tones when it comes to perfume kasi parang medyo maasim ang after smell. The next one is maintain. There will be things that you will discover that will always work for you. The perfect shade of pink, the perfect shade of red rouge, the perfect shade of nail color. So when you discover these things, take a note and maintain. The next one is the topic on passability. Um, I would say that passability or being stealth or being passable, or 'di ba in the Philippines you call it, 'di ba, like vavaihan, 'di ba, yung pinaka-soft talaga, kailangan sobrang 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 soft ka talaga na trans Pinay. I don't think that should be the goal. I think I think the goal is to really finding your genuine self, and being true to yourself and having your own identity. If that's what you also want, there's nothing wrong with that, but that will come naturally, organically after. Next one is be open. Be open to new things, opportunities, and don't just limit yourself in a box, but rather consider that there is no box. There are no limits. You can pick anything, you can do anything. And lastly, remember that we evolve and so do our personal styles. Next slide, please. And I believe it's my last one. So I'll share with you a few extra fashionable and timeless tips of empowerment from me, Adri. So the first one is very personal to me because I had living in a different country from the Philippines. I have had to learn the hard way on this. So this is quite personal, which is establish a good and solid relationship with yourself. And when I say that, it's enjoying your own company. It's self love. It's when you gift yourself. When you take good care of yourself. And that's really connected with the next one, which is loving yourself. It sounds super cliche, I know. It sounds overused, but uh, kasi 'di ba, like marami sa atin when it comes to being trying to be positive and whatnot. That's fine, just love yourself. Okay lang yan, just love yourself. We always hear it, but what it is exactly, and I think again, it's really connected to having and establishing a good and solid relationship with yourself. We will experience a lot of things when it comes to expression and when it comes to presenting ourselves to the world. But when we have a good, solid relationship with ourselves and that we love ourselves, that love is unconditional, 'di ba? Ma-reject man tayo ng maraming tao, and unfortunately, this happens as well with friends, family, and workmates. If we have that relationship with ourselves, we can take it. We can deal with it. The third one is be a good observant. What is happening around me? What are people wearing? 'Di ba? Ano bang sikat? And also, when you think about that, also think about applicable ba yan sa akin? Can I actually apply this to my lifestyle, or to can I actually wear it as well? Maganda bang tingnan sa akin? 'Di ba? You have to be an observant. So just try to be aware of what's happening around you visually, what you hear, what you feel as well. The fourth one is again quite personal. This is least discussed because I think it hurts, but I don't think, I believe it's very, very important that I discuss this, especially when it comes to self expression, and that is brace yourself and be prepared. Whatever path we choose, whatever choices we make, we will not we cannot please all people around us. So you have to brace yourself for rejection. You have to brace yourself for negativity, and you have to be prepared. And it's okay, di ba? And these things really, kahit naman hindi ka trans, kahit naman cisgender, hetero ka, these people experience it. But yun nga lang, unfortunately, a lot of the LGBTQI plus persons experience this, way more, 1,000 times more, because of who we are, because we just express ourselves freely. So, yeah, again, I'd like to repeat that. Just brace yourself and be prepared. And lastly, have fun and enjoy the journey. For some people, it's hard. For some people, it's it's exciting. But whatever it is, try to enjoy the process. I believe in most cases it could be fun. So try to focus on the fun side, and it's a journey. Life is a journey in general. So just try to enjoy it. Thank you.